This week. Security alert. U.S. authorities on edge.
I have never seen a threat matrix so serious.
New airport worries this holiday week. Pierre Thomas with breaking details and President Obama on the growing fears in our exclusive interview.
Are we under serious threat right now?
Then, breaking overnight, emergency moves from the White House responding to a humanitarian crisis on the border. We're on the ground with the latest. Hillary under fire. Why is she charging nearly $250,000 to speak at a university? And breaking his silence, the father of the Santa Barbara shooter speaks out. What warning signs were missed? From ABC News, This Week with George Stephanopoulos begins now.
Good morning. We're tracking two developing stories, including a major new response from the White House to that humanitarian crisis on our southern border, and a new terror threat from the Al-Qaeda group gaining more control of Syria and Iraq. Their advances raising security fears here at home. ABC senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas starts us off with the latest.
Right now, sources tell us, at this moment in Syria, Al-Qaeda bomb makers are trying to design a new generation of explosives, including non-metallic bombs, and the U.S. government is wrestling with how to respond. ABC News has learned the government is considering a number of new measures, including asking overseas airport authorities to increase security.
There is a new terror warning.
This threat was initially discovered near the beginning of the Sochi Winter Olympics, prompting warnings about toothpaste and cosmetic bombs that could be smuggled on board planes. Sources tell us evidence continues to come in indicating the bomb makers in Syria are still at work.
This is exactly the kind of threat that keeps me up at night.
It's a potentially deadly convergence. Al-Qaeda bomb makers from Yemen have come to Syria at the same time thousands of foreign fighters, including many from Europe and some from the U.S., have arrived to join Al-Qaeda-inspired groups. The fear is that once the stealth bombs are designed, there's available manpower to carry out attacks, with fighters carrying passports from Western countries that allow easy access to the U.S. What's more, terrorists are flowing back and forth over Syria's porous border with Iraq. This week, after a classified intelligence briefing about Iraq, senators issued a warning.
One thing I learned from this briefing: our homeland is at risk.
This is an urgent counterterrorism situation that our country faces.
Congressional leaders say it's an especially dangerous moment.
I've been on the Intelligence Committee for 10 years, chairman for the last 4 years. I have never seen a threat matrix so serious, so varied, and so many different streams of threat.
In addition to threats from abroad, U.S. officials have to worry about so-called lone wolves here at home. Extremists radicalized on the internet, like the Tsarnaev brothers, who allegedly bombed the Boston Marathon. So as the 4th of July celebrations near, U.S. intelligence officials will be as intense as ever, even though there is currently no known specific plot.
Pierre joins us now. And Pierre, we also saw yesterday that the Libyan charged with being the mastermind of those Benghazi attacks, Ahmed Abu Khattala, was brought to federal court in Washington, D.C. after 2 weeks of interrogation on a slow boat from Libya. There are some reports that he's been cooperating with questioners. How much is he cooperating? What are we learning?
George, on this slow boat ride across the Atlantic, Khattala faced two separate sets of interrogations. First, a special team pressed for intelligence about any imminent threats. Then about a week ago, he was read his rights by the FBI, who also pressed him for answers. We're told he cooperated, giving some details but never admitting guilt.
And this is a complicated prosecution ahead.
George, he'll be treated like a common thug in civilian court. Prosecutors have to be able to show evidence that ties this guy directly to that case. The pressure is going to be on the Justice Department to prove that case in court. And he faces pressure because he now is looking at the death penalty. He's going to have to roll the dice and either go to trial or plead guilty and perhaps save his own life.
Okay, Pierre.